25. I've got a ton of stuff. Hopefully this video will not be too long because I've got a ton of things to share with you today. First, we have a couple of announcements. We have our tote along running where you can knit or crochet or quilt a tote, and you can enter it through the Katrina's Creations Ravelry group, or you can send me an email with your finished project and send it to KatrinasCreations@yahoo.com. That will end on Friday the 31st at 5 p.m. because after that I will be recording for Saturday's video. So make sure you get your entries in by Friday the 31st at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And next Saturday I will be announcing the winner, and the winner will be winning a skein of yarn. I also next week will be showing you all of the entries so you can get if you don't get onto Facebook or onto Ravelry, you can get to see some of the pictures of everybody's totes. So I will be sharing everything with you next week. So the tote along, like I said, has this last week to go. And I also wanted to talk about a Facebook notice. Some of you saw a post I put up. I actually forwarded it because another viewer shared it with me. Apparently there's some hacking going on Facebook in general, and the hackers apparently post nasty comments and they make it look as if you sent them. So if you get a post on your Facebook page that's nasty and it says it's from me, please know that it's a hacker. I didn't do it. I haven't run into anybody saying that it has happened, but just to be aware of it so that, you don't take offense to something that I probably didn't send. So, like I said, it hasn't happened or anything yet, but just because I was aware that it has happened to some other people. So, if you get a nasty or rude post, it is not from me, even though it says it's from me, if that makes sense. It's the work of a hacker. So, anyway, just to make you aware of that, and likewise, if you would get posts from other people that say that, just double check to make sure it really came from them and not a hacker posing as them. So, I have a finished object. Yes, I finished my Virus Meets Granny shawl. I said it right this time. I've said this thing wrong every single time. It is humongous. I will model it. Hang on. You can see how wide it is. And it wraps nicely around my shoulders and hangs down. So this is not something I'm going to wear in front because it hangs so far down the back, but this is perfect for just coziness, and it is so soft. So I am really, really happy with this. And I was able to use up almost every single bit of the yarn. I'll show you the little teeny bit that I have left, and it's going to go into my cozy memory blanket, which is languishing in a bag downstairs. But this is all I have left of it's called raspberry pudding. That's all I have left. This is LRA Cozy Soft, and this is LRA Cozy Soft in gray. And this is variegated from Ancient Fiber. So that is all I have left. Just these little teeny bits. So, like I said, they're going in my cozy memory blanket if I ever get back to doing it. I love working on my cozy memory blanket. I just never really get around to doing it because I've got other projects going on. But one day, those will go back in it. So I have that. Then I have some works in progress. My first one is my Barton cardigan, and it is living in my tote bag that says Katrina's Creations. If you want one of these tote bags, or I have a mug that has my logo on it, you can click the link below. It'll take you to it. Here we go. I am into the second row of decreases at this point, so that is exciting. You're not going to see a whole lot of difference because I've only done one decrease so far. But here's where I was last week. You can see my stitch marker. So I've gone from here to here. which again doesn't look like much, but it's 429 stitches to go all the way around. So I spent several days just getting that far. I have 40 more rows to go, which sounds like a lot, but because it's going to continue, this is the yoke part of the sweater, so as it continues up towards my neck, it's going to get considerably smaller. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I really hope in the next 2 weeks I finish this and can move on to another project. So that is my Barton cardigan. And then I've been working on my There is Water at the Bottom of the Ocean, which is a Barbara Benson design. And this is probably going to be for my daughter-in-law. And here's where I was last week. You can see my little stitch marker right there. I've gone through one whole extra section now. So here's what it looks like. It's kind of cupped, so you can't see it all the way, but this is the top of it. So you knit from the top down. So this is actually the bottom part of the shawl at this point. And I'll try to open this up without it falling off the needle so you can see the pattern. So maybe if I hold it this direction. There you go. It's a very lacy pattern, but it's not hard stitches. And the yarn is heavy enough that it's not a lace weight yarn that you're working with, so it's really not bad. This is like a fingering weight yarn. You can see right here. Lace weight yarns I've kind of don't do anymore. I used to, but as I've gotten older, it's very hard on my eyes to use. Lace weight yarns are they're about half of that as far as the weight. You tend to see like your crocheted or knitted tablecloths, doilies, things like that are lace weight. I do still have some lace weight, but what I tend to do with it is hold it double. And there's sometimes a little bit thicker lace weights, but for the most part, the real thin lace weights, I hold double. It's just too much eye strain anymore. It stinks getting older. Yeah. Anyway, that is that project. And then I started on a new one. I've been wanting to design a new shawl. I have a project there. Yeah. I have a patterns page over in Ravelry where some of my patterns are for sale, and actually I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But I have 3 designs for shawls. Well, 2 shawls and one like a kerchief cowl. So I wanted to design another one, and I've wanted to do this. I've had this idea in mind for quite a few months now, so I finally have gotten started on it. And I just had the very beginning part, but I'll show you what I've got so far. I've wanted to experiment with short rows, which means all a short row is you don't knit all the way across. You go part way and you turn and you come back. So it's a fancy word for a simple procedure. Here is one end, so you can see that it's really thin on this side, and then it goes across, and this is just garter stitch, so it's just a straight knit stitch at this point, and then it gets wide on this side. So you can see, I can't open this all the way across because the way I've designed this, you're actually knitting the whole width of the shawl to start your first couple rows, and then it progressively gets shorter. So you can see it starts out wide, and then as it gets closer and closer, the stitches start narrowing. There you can really start seeing it starting to narrow, and down to here. So I haven't come up with a name. I have some ideas. It's going to have, I think, fanfare in the name, just because if this works out the way it's supposed to, it's going to be sort of like a fan, I think. I hope. Anyway, that is my project here, and I'm using this solid blue, which I got from Knit Picks. I think it's Knit Picks. It's Cloudborne. And this is from Knit Picks. And then I had Sweet Georgia yarns. I had a party of 5, which are 5 mini skeins in different shades of blue. So this is my next color. They're going to go together here. And this is kind of a tonal. It has some other little shades. It has some darker grays in it and stuff, but all you can really see from here is the blue. So that is going to be the next color going into this, but the 5 mini skeins are going to be incorporated into the shawl. So that's how far I've gotten with it, which is not very far at all. Now, at the beginning of January, I started what was called my Make 9 for 2018. What Make 9 means is 9 different projects that I really want to achieve by the end of the year. So let's see how I'm doing with that. Number 1 was my Barton cardigan. I think I'm going to make it. Like I said, I'm hoping 2 weeks, 3 at the most, and I'll be done. The Hitchhiker shawl, which yes, I did finish. Drachenfels. I finished the Drachenfels shawl. Socks. I made several pairs of socks, so I've gotten that. Some I kept, some I did not. A poncho. I made the poncho, if you remember my gold poncho that I had. A cotton sweater. I'm actually wearing it today, and this is the beading. You can see the little black dots. These are beads that I incorporated into the neckline. I love this sweater. I really do. I wear it a lot. It is just so soft. Bamboo yarn. It's a bamboo cotton blend, and bamboo yarn is so soft. So this is really, really comfortable. I love wearing it. I've got this same yarn. This is actually 2 yarns. It's a variegated and it's a solid yarn mixed. So this was in the gray. I also have it in a turquoise teal type of color, and I have it in an orange. So kind of a peachy orange color. So I'm not going to make them this year. I think I might work on them in the winter time so I can wear them in the spring. But at this point, by the time I would finish them, I wouldn't be able to wear them. So I'm not going to worry about them this year, but next year. And I do have beads that match for all of those too. So I completed that. My number 7 on my Make 9 was a Mobius or shoulder wrap. And if you remember the green one that I had in different shades of green, that is a Mobius. So I did finish that. A cotton neck something. Yes, I made the Katrina's kerchief cowl. That's one of the other patterns that I designed that, like I said earlier, we will be talking about later on. And then my last thing, the only thing that's left after my Barton cardigan, is another wool sweater. So when I finish, I do want to make a wool sweater. And actually, I want to talk to somebody, Bev. I'm going to show Bev's sweater when I do our show and tell. And it's gorgeous. It's a cranberry wine color. It wasn't until I blew it up to do the little episode you're going to see with all of the show and tell that I really saw the detail of the sweater. And it's not only has cables, but it has diamond shapes in the background. It's gorgeous. So Bev, when you watch this, please let me know what the name of the pattern is that you used, because I might have to check that out if I can find it. So anyway, be sure you check that when you see the show and tell. Look at that sweater up close, and you can put it on your big screen, and you can see some of the details in that, and the details in everybody else's work as well. The little screens you can't see as much as when you put it in full screen. So I want to make one more wool sweater, and I should be able to achieve that. I have lots of wool after this week's shopping episode. I had a major yarn haul. There is a company that was up outside of Hanover. It was called the Mannings. It was in business since I think maybe the 1940s, 1950s, somewhere around there. The current owners bought it in the 1980s, and they are going out of business. It was a company. They sold looms, they sold spinning wheels. In fact, that's where my spinning wheel came from. My daughter bought her loom from them. They just had a lot of classes and everything else, but the family didn't want to take over the business, and so they decided they were going to sell everything off, which they had sold most everything off 2 years ago. But now the buildings are going up for auction, so they had to clear out whatever was left. So they put out a major sale, and I couldn't turn it down. I actually went with 2 other ladies from my Knit Night group, and we had breakfast together, and then we hit the sale. Because the yarn that they had patterns for sale. They had some spinning wheels left. They had a couple of floor looms left. that were going for really, really good prices. They had the cutest little spinning wheel. It was this big, like to sit on your tabletop, but they only had 2 and other people had them. So I didn't get that. I would have loved that. It was really cute. I went for the yarn because they had all kinds of patterns, but I can get patterns on Ravelry, and I've got lots of books. I can get patterns. I don't need the paper clutter, but yarn, I'll take yarn clutter any day. So they were selling yarn for 50 cents for 50 gram skein and $1 for 100 gram skein. How far could you go wrong with that? So the first thing that I bought there was a sweater's quantity of this brown, and it's kind of it's just a medium brown, kind of a nut brown, and it is Hawthorne Cottage yarns, which is very good yarn. And this is, I think, 100 gram skein. So I paid $1 for each of these. And I got like 8 or 9 of them. And there is 189 yards in a skein. So 8 or 9 skeins should give me plenty for a sweater's quantity. And it's soft, and it actually has a halo. You can see kind of fuzzies up along the top here. That's what's called a halo. It just makes it soft and fluffy. Probably things to go up my nose, because you know I'm always getting fiber fluff in my nose. So I got that. And then I've got to show you these pictures, because you're going to don't put water or anything in your mouth when you see these pictures, because you'll spit it out. It's funny. There was these boxes of old sweater kits that were sitting off to the side, and people were bypassing them because they were seeing the picture on the front. I ignored the picture on the front because I wanted the yarn inside the box. So here we go. Like I said, it screams 1980s, 1990s. Here's the first one. There is no way I'm wearing a sweater with a cow on it. It's got a windmill right here. And then it's got a cow, and it's got a cloud, and defense in the background. Really? There is no way. No way. But look at the colors in here. There's nice reds and greens and blues and whites. Yes, oh, and apparently looking at the picture, there's even a cloud on her shoulder. No. Anyway, that's pattern number 1. And then here's the other one. Like I said, screams 1980s. Again, I like the colors. There ain't any way I'm wearing that. No way. Yeah. And they even put it in a picture frame so you can prop it up and adore it. Yeah, I know. Anyway, let me show you what I got, though. Inside the sweater boxes were, between the 2 boxes together, because a lot of them had the same colors, 5 skeins of green, and this is all 100% wool. I spent $12 for the one box, $15 total for the other. And if you look at the little thumbnail picture on the video, that's the pile of yarn that I got out of those 2 boxes. So yeah, 5 skeins of green, 2 skeins of purple, and it's a pretty purple too. 2 skeins of a burnt orange color, 6 skeins of blue, 2 skeins of gold, a skein of black and a skein of, and some additional yarn apparently, skein of black and a skein of white. This is kind of a dark teal. And then a small and a large skein of this kind of rose color. Rosy snowman, little rose color. And then this in kind of a heathery brown color. So these smaller skeins here were like accents that went to the ugly sweaters. So all of these together are going to be either knit into sweaters as they are, or I actually have some other worsted weight yarn that's 100% wool that's on cones. And I have some, let's see, in a red, a blue, and a green, and a little bit in a gold. So, yeah, those are going to be incorporated either in other yarn that I have. I want to do some fair isle knitting, which is like color work. It's when you knit 2 different colors at one time. It's a lot of fun. I haven't done it for years, but it makes an extremely heavy sweater. It's warm. You could use it for a wool coat. So I do want to get back into doing some fair isle knitting, and I will record when I get around to doing it, but that's what my goal is for all of that yarn. Now, something else too that I got this week, if you watched my yarn swap box, or my swap box that I exchanged with Lucy, I'll stick a card up here. If you click the little eye, it will take you to that video. One thing that was in the video that I forgot to show, I actually showed it on the video and then lost footage, and so it was cut out of the video. But she also sent me a pattern. It's called Brave at Heart. There it is. It's an asymmetrical shawl, so it's knit on the bias. So you start with small stitches and you keep increasing. I have a lot of shawls that are made on the bias like that. It's a lot of fun. They're also very portable. This is a shawlette, so it's not overly big, and it is a one skein wonder, which means it only takes 1 skein of yarn, which is terrific. It uses, where is it at? 328 yards, 300 to 328 yards of yarn, which is great because I have some odd skeins of yarn that I really like, but they have some strange colors in them that are hard to put with anything else. So this is an ideal project. This is also a good car project because it's small. It's not like you want to get in the car and knit a sweater. So, you know, car knitting is great for socks and small things like this. So this was one more thing that Lucy had given me. So, yeah, that was an additional thing. Now you might also wonder, what am I going to work on next that I've finished my crochet pattern? So I had showed this last week, but I'll show it again just in case anybody else wants to knit this or crochet this at the same time. I am doing the Tega shawl, and it is only written as a chart, which I've never tried before. So if you guys, if any of you are crocheting this or have crocheted it in the past, I might put you on speed dial because I'm going to be needing help probably. I don't know. I'm doing this in the Hotcakes, which is by Plymouth Yarn. And here's the color, which is gorgeous. It's in like tans, grays, blues, navy blue, and a white. So, and the white actually has little specks of blue in it. So I think it's going to be gorgeous. And this is a worsted weight. So that's going to be my next crochet project. Now we move to our show and tell, and thank you to all of you who sent me some things for show and tell this week. We've got a good number. If you would like to submit things for show and tell to share with other people, we all love to see your projects because seeing them in a pattern book is a whole lot different than seeing somebody that we know that's knitted or crocheted or quilted that project. So if you send anything, you can send it through Facebook or you can send it to my Yahoo email, which is KatrinasCreations@yahoo.com. But don't forget to tell us what the pattern is. And if you know the yarn, that's always nice to know too, so we know how it knits up when it's done. So with that done, I will roll the footage for our show and tell. one of our viewers has started her own podcast, so please show her some support. Her podcast is Cindy Hearts Crochet. So she's only put out 1 or 2 videos. So if you want to check it out, I will put it up right here. It's Cindy Hearts Crochet. So go over and give her a look at her podcast. Now we have some upcoming announcements. Our knitting school that we've all been talking about for a while now will have the very first video up starting Wednesday. The videos for the knitting school will be on Wednesdays. And the supplies, somebody has asked me, I've had numerous people actually ask me, what supplies you need. Very simple. You need a set of knitting needles and some very cheap yarn. My suggestion would be to try worsted weight, because if you go to the big box stores like Walmart or Kmart or Hobby Lobby, any of those, or Joann's Fabrics, you can get acrylic. I mean, I would definitely get acrylic. Don't spend money on wool yarn things, because you're going to be probably making mistakes. If you're a brand new learner, it's normal. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have to rip some things out. And you want a nice durable yarn that's not costing an arm and a leg, and it's going to hold up to being ripped out and re-knit. So just some cheap acrylic yarn. The cheaper the better. You can do, you could use cotton if you want to too. Either of those would work. The Lily Sugar and Cream would work. Like I said, any cheap worsted weight. And you're going to want knitting needles. If you are using worsted weight, you're going to want knitting needles that are size 7 to 8, somewhere in that ballpark. It could be either. You can use circular needles, which is my preference. I don't have a whole lot of my straight needles left anymore, but you can use either one. We are going to be knitting something flat, so don't get intimidated by the circular needles. The only thing you're doing is still knitting back and forth. It's just instead of your fiber you're producing, you're staying on the needles, it just hangs down on the cable instead. So it takes some of the weight off of your wrists. So like I said, straight or circular, US size 7 or 8 will work. Those are the only 2 supplies you're going to need right off the bat. But down the road a little further, you will need a cable hook. Cable hooks can look like this, or they can kind of be straight with a little hump in the middle. Either one. So you will need one of these, and you will need stitch markers and a progress keeper. Some of those are interchangeable. So let me show you what those look like. Okay. You can buy stitch markers that are just little round rings like that. Or you can buy these. These are the cheap ones. These are the ones that I would prefer for myself, simply because you can use them as a progress keeper. You can also use them as a stitch marker. And the reason we're going to be using a progress keeper is when you are first starting and you're just doing a knit stitch, it's very difficult as a beginner to be able to tell the front from the back of your work. So we're going to do what I've done when I've cheated. And there's some patterns that actually start out in garter stitch, and it's very easy to get lost over which is the right and which is the wrong side. Bendy Arrow shawl, which I've made before, is one of those patterns where until you get further into the pattern, you aren't real sure whether you're on the front or the back. And one of the patterns I wrote, Keeping You in Stitches, is the same way. So by putting on a little progress keeper, you're not so much keeping track of your progress, but you're just marking the right from the wrong side. So you will need just a couple stitch markers, probably maybe 6. So, and they're cheap. They come in packs of like 20 or more. So that's the only supplies you're going to need, because this is going to be very basic. So the first episode, like I said, will go up on Wednesday. So I hope you check it out and join us. And if you don't have your supplies by Wednesday, you still are welcome to watch, or watch it when you get your supplies. It's always going to be there. So it will be ready to go though on Wednesday morning. We have a flash giveaway. Now, some of you saw the Japanese inspired bag that I made that Yoka had sent me a pattern for that she had designed. And here's the pattern right here. And the pattern was originally in Dutch. She has translated it, and it is going to be released for free in a few weeks. However, as part of our giveaway, she and I are pairing up, and we're going to put two patterns together. This pattern that's been translated into English, and one of my shawl patterns. And you will, if you're the winner, you will get a copy of both of those. And so the one that you will be getting will be the pre-release of this. So you will have a copy of the English version before anybody else does. Well, I've got a copy of the English version, but before it becomes released to the public, you will get a pre-release of this pattern if you win. And you will get a pattern of one of my patterns. Yeah, a pattern of one of my patterns. That sounded funny. So I will show you the three patterns that you'll be able to choose from. One is the Keeping You in Stitches shawl, which is this one. And it's just little repeats of all different types of lace patterns. You don't knit it with lace weight yarn. It's knit with fingering weight yarn. This is one of my favorite shawls because it was fun to do the different stitches, but you don't do any of them for any length of time where you get disgustingly tired of it. So anyway, I also love the colors in this. So this is one of my favorite shawls. So there's that one that you can choose from. That's the Keeping You in Stitches. There is the Katrina's Kerchief Cowl, which we did as a knit along when it first was released. And it's simply a cowl, but it's shaped like a point. So the shawls that you wear around your neck, you can wear this around your neck without having all the bulkiness because it just hooks in the back. So this is the Katrina's Kerchief Cowl. And the other one you could choose from is the Banner Unfurled. And it's the Banner Unfurled. And I've done this in several different colors because I made everybody in my family got this in different shades for Christmas one year. So I've made this in red, white, and blue because initially when I made the pattern, I had nothing to wear for patriotic holidays like the 4th of July and Memorial Day. So I made it in red, white, and blue to have something to wear. And then I made it in other colors like pink and gray and white. And I made another one in gray and denim and white. And then I made this one in turquoise and gray and a variegated turquoise and gray. And it does have beading at the bottom. And this is what they would call a shawlette. It's not a real big one. It's a pretty quick knit and it's pretty easy stitches. So here's how you do the giveaway. It's going to run for 1 week. So next week we will be announcing 2 winners. We will be announcing the winner of the Tote Along, and we will be announcing the winner of our flash giveaway. Now, in order to enter it, all you need to do is in the comments down below, let me know which of the patterns of my shawls you would pick. Okay, so it's going to be Keeping You in Stitches, the Banner Unfurled, or the Kerchief Cowl. So that's all you have to do to enter it. And starting in September, like I said, we've got lots of announcements today. Because we're going to be finishing up with the Tote Along, we're going to move on to another along. We're going to call it the Fall Along. And it's going to run for 3 months to give everybody as much time as they would like. You can knit, you can crochet, you can quilt. You can pretty much do whatever. But you have to make something fall related. It can be something you want to wear. It can be something for your home. I think I'm going to make a centerpiece out of the 12 pointed star crochet. I've got some fall colors, so I think that might be what I do with it. But I also might be making a poncho that's in fall colors too. So you can enter as many times as you make a project. As long as you've made the project between September 1st and November 30th, it qualifies. So that is going to start next Saturday, will be the start off date. So it's going to be called the Fall Along. And there will be a chatter thread where you can just get in and talk about what you want to make or show your progress, whatever you want to do. And there will also be a finished objects thread in the Ravelry group or you can post it to my email address, which I've announced, I think, 2 or 3 times this time. So that's all the news on all of our upcoming events that we've got going on. We're a busy group lately. Have you noticed that? So now let me share with So here's the sales for this week. First off is Knit Crate. Now I've been announcing this all month. This is going to be like the last announcement about the Knit Crate deal that's going on because it ends August 31st. So if you're interested in this, you need to act by August 31st. Knit Crate is offering, if you sign up for a new subscription box, and the link to that is right down below, you just click it, it'll take you right there. Once you sign up for a box, and they offer 4 different boxes, you get an additional box of yarn just for the shipping cost, which is $5. So I thought I would show you maybe some of the stuff I've gotten in the past. If you're relatively new to my channel, you haven't seen maybe some of the other unboxings. So let me show you what I get. Now I ordered the membership box, which is $24.99, and that price includes your shipping. You get 2 skeins of yarn, and you get 2 patterns, a crochet pattern and a knit pattern. So this last month, I got this gray and black. A few months ago, I got a baby blue in cashmere. It is the softest yarn I've ever seen in my life. Another time, I'm only showing you 1 skein, but I have 2 skeins of each of these. Here was one of the other ones. Pinks and greens. It's very springy, Eastery colors. And then there was this, which was a heavier weight. This is extremely soft. And the color's showing up pretty good too. This was August color, and this could be one of the colors that you get. No guarantees, but that could be one of them. This was one of my favorites. This is another one that I got. And once in a while they throw kind of a neutral in. And somebody asked me, do they always send fingering weight yarn? No. Most of the time, I would say probably at least 60 to 70, maybe 80% of the time, it's fingering to sock weight yarn. I have gotten, I think twice now, chunky weight yarn. And so once or twice? Yeah, I think maybe twice I've gotten chunky weight yarn. I don't think I've ever gotten lace weight yarn. Most of the time, I've gotten worsted weight before. But most of the time, I would say the bulk of the time, it's a fingering sock weight. Most of the time. Again, no guarantees because I don't know what they're going to send because it's always a surprise. So that's the one box. Then they send me as a review, they send me for free their sock artisan box, which is another one of the boxes they offer. And it's, I believe, $34.99. But it's hand-dyed yarn from that particular dyer. It's their yarn base. And in that case, they always send you a sock pattern. It's a knitted sock pattern, not a crocheted pattern. It's a knitted sock pattern, and they send you a little treat of some sort. This is one I got. This is probably one of my favorites. It's like rose and gold. It's really gorgeous. And then they sent me this one time. And then this was the one they sent last month, which is a tonal peach. And this is like so very soft. And it's just 1 skein of yarn. In all honesty, your best deal is the membership box because you're getting 2 skeins of yarn. And in all honesty, $24.99, so you might as well say $25. You get 2 skeins of yarn and 2 patterns. The patterns alone would run you, if you went out and bought them on Ravelry, would run anywhere from $4 to $6 probably. And the skeins of yarn are dyed in-house, but they're on different, they're considered luxury yarns. Like I said, I've gotten cashmere before. A lot of times, a good majority of the time, they're superwash merinos. So they're not cheap yarns. They're nice yarns. So you're only paying, even without the patterns, you're paying $12.50 for a skein of yarn that's that quality. You can't buy that online probably anywhere. And then you put in your patterns on top of it. It's a really good deal. I think that's probably their best bet price-wise. They do offer a sock box that's not the artisan socks, which is also one pattern and one skein of yarn. And I think it runs around $19.99. And all of their prices always include your shipping too. So it's a really good deal. So if you are interested in it, I don't mean to go on and sound like a giant advertisement, but it is a really good deal and it's only going to last till the end of August. So just wanted to get it out there in case you're interested. You got one more week. So that's what Knit Crate is offering. Craftsy has some Patons yarn on sale. They have their Beehive Baby Sport Weight and their Patons Astra. And it is only selling for $2 a skein, so that's a good one. They also are having Caron Simply Soft for $2.14. So some of you that like to knit with Caron Simply Soft, that's a pretty good price. So that's Craftsy, and all of the links to this are down below. If you look in the little description box, it says Show More. Click the Show More, and then you can scroll down and you'll see it there. Knit Picks has save up to 50% off of their top selling tools. So not everything is 50%, but some of their items, they're up to 50% off. So the tools could be, like knitting needles, could be crochet hooks, could be knitting supplies, crochet supplies, things like that. So it's up to 50% off of their top selling tools. Lion Brand Yarn has, couldn't read my own writing. Lion Brand Yarn has 40% off of one transitional garment kit. So you can buy, a kit would be the pattern and the yarn that goes along with it. And so you can save up to, it's only good for one item, but you can save up to 40%. Or it's not up to, it is 40% off. Okay, so it is 40% off of one transitional garment kit. And you do need to use a coupon code for that. The coupon code, I will put it right here. It is SAVE40AUG. So it's only good till the end of the month. And Annie's Craft Store has clearance yarn. They have Omega Escarcha. They have Taki, which is a cotton. They have Barocco Alpaca. Although the Barocco Alpaca, they only had one skein left. I checked it out last night, almost bought some and saw they only had one skein left. I went, ah! And there's also Bernat Dazzle. So all of those yarns are in their clearance sale for only $1.99. Just be aware that supplies are limited because they're on clearance. So some of those items, when you click on them, they don't have all the color selections. They have some other really good yarns on clearance that are in a really decent price. I just put down the ones with the cheapest because cheap is plastered on my forehead. Yeah, so anyway, that's what Annie's has. So I think that actually finishes everything up for this week. So thank you again for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And stay tuned for Wednesday's knitting school. Don't forget to enter the giveaway for your free knitting patterns, actually. And otherwise, stay tuned next Saturday for our giveaway. Well, 2 different giveaways. So next week is going to be Prize Palooza. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you again next week. Actually, no, I'll see you again on Wednesday. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.